everyone. As some of you know, my name is Joan Carey. I work at Bonnievale Environmental Education Center in Brattleboro, Vermont. And some of you I already worked with earlier this year. That was great fun. Some of you I worked with when you were in third grade or maybe second grade. Some of you I haven't met yet, and I really look forward to a time when we can do some science explorations outside in nature and be learning about some of the processes that are happening out here. But in the meantime, today, here I am sitting by this beautiful stream, and I want to show you how you can get started on an experiment of your own at your house. And I call it the stream erosion experiment. That might sound a little bit familiar to you because for some of you when you were in second grade, we made streamscapes. We made models of stream landscapes, and we were just starting to learn about the process that is called erosion.
Erosion is when some of Earth's materials, like these rocks, or the bits of sand or soil that are underneath there, are moved from one place to another by the force of this water. And sometimes what even happens is that all of this sediment gets built up someplace, like just on the other side of this stream, and deposited there. So we would actually call that deposition, and that is the result of the erosion that is happening by the force of this moving water.
So this might be a little bit familiar, but we need to go a lot deeper with it this time. And what we want to do is not just be looking at the movement of materials, which is what erosion is, right? It's the movement of Earth's materials, of sand and sediment and rock, from one place to another. And we're not looking just at that this time. What we actually want to look at are what factors cause erosion to happen and what variables affect the rate that erosion is happening in a place like this, in a place like a stream bed. So just like when you're in second grade, we're going to do that really cool activity of building a streamscape in order to study this amazing phenomenon. But we're going to keep our focus on those variables that are involved this time. So before we dive into the experiment, there was a lot of vocabulary in there, and I want to just unpack some of that with you before we actually start setting up our experiment.
Stream. A stream is like a river, except it's smaller. It's not as deep or as wide as a river. The water in a stream or in a river is moving. So we would call that flowing water. Erosion is when some of Earth's materials, now Earth's materials we need to define too, I guess. Earth's materials are soil and rock. So erosion is when some of Earth's materials get moved from one place to another by a force. The force could be something like wind or water. Model. A model represents something, but it's usually on a smaller scale. For example, this here is a model of the Earth. It isn't actually the Earth, obviously, but it represents the Earth. It's the same shape. It has similar features such as continents, oceans, even the topography, showing where things like mountains and rivers would be. Another important word to define is variable. A variable is something that can change, and it's something that we can measure. So, in terms of streams, what do you think some of the variables might be? Some of the ones that I was thinking about that we could experiment with today are, well, let me tell you, I'm thinking about 4 of them. And you might have some other thoughts, but here are the ones I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about something that's called the slope. And what a slope is the angle of the stream. Is the stream running along a flat topography, or is it coming down the steep slope of something? So slope, steep slope, that's what slope is. Great. Rate would be how fast is something traveling. So in this case, how fast is the water moving? Is it rushing or is it trickling? The third variable that I've been thinking about is volume. And what I think about when I say volume is how much water is moving through the stream. Is it just a little or is it a whole lot? And you may be recognizing that all three of these so far, slope, rate, and volume, are connected to each other. So you'll see that happen when you set up your stream table. The fourth variable is materials. So is the stream bed that you're building mostly rocks, or is it sand, or is it some mixture of other natural materials that you're finding around where you are? So today, what I want to do is show you how you can make a model of a stream in order to investigate the force that water has on the materials in and around real streams. So let's review the two questions that I put out to you that we hope to answer today as we make models of streams. The first question is, what variables are at play in stream erosion? And the second question is, how do they affect the rate of erosion by water? All right, you got those? Here's what you're going to need for some equipment.
You're going to need something to build your stream bed on. And what I like to use is a board. Let's see, I happen to have a ruler. So that's about 1 foot wide and maybe about 2.5 feet long. And you might not have that lying around. Don't worry about it. If you have a different size board, use that. Or maybe a piece of cardboard or even a piece of bark. Get creative, but you're going to need to build on something. So some kind of a surface for that. And then you will need some water. So I just filled up a gallon jug just, at the spigot outside my house. So you could do that. Maybe you set this up right by your spigot. So water, and then some kind of container for water. And I'm going to suggest something that maybe if you have something like this, like from a bike, because I can change my rate of flow really easily, because I can take the top off, or I can put it on and have this smaller amount of water that would come out. If you don't have something like that, that's okay. Maybe when you pour it, if this was the bottle that you were using, you would pour it once like that, and the second time maybe you'd put your fingers over it and make it just more of a trickle. So some kind of source of water and bottles for setting up your flow. You're going to need some blocks. So I have a few different sizes here. I have these and I have this one, because you're going to have to set up some kind of a slope on this. Remember that? So like the stream that we just saw, it had a flow to it. So that means one end was a little higher than the other. So you might set yours up like that with just a really small slope. Or you might work with a bigger slope. And if you don't have pieces of block like this around, then find some rocks that are around, or pieces of woods just from out in the forest, something like that. But you'll want to have some options for slope. Then the other thing you're going to need is some material, some of Earth's materials. So remember we talked about those, soil and rocks. So I just took this container and, went out and filled it up with things like this. So I have some different size rocks, and I have a bunch of soil, and I even had this little bit of vegetation with the roots still in there, so maybe you'll find something like that and you want to put it in. Have fun with this, you guys, and get creative. It's a blast to build. So those are kind of the things that you're going to need. Let's see, I want to remember all of the variables we talked about. So we talked about slope, so we have our board and we have different size things to set up a slope. We talked about rate. So either something like a bike bottle or something that you can hold your fingers over to change the amount of water that's coming out of the bottle. Volume, which was the amount of water. That's easy peasy, right? Because like if this is my container, if I might set up my experiment, I want to test volume. So I might run it with just 1 bottle of water, or I might run it with 2. That would change the volume, the amount of water. So that's that. And then the fourth variable was materials. And I already explained those. So you might be inclined to use more rocks or more soil or more plants or more other things. Oh, you have to remember that when you set up this board, make sure that you are putting Earth's materials over the entire thing. Don't just set it up to the side and use the middle section blank for your stream, right? Because in a real stream, those materials are not only on the side of the river, but they're all the way down in the bottom. As part of having fun with it, think about, is your stream going to be a straight line that comes down here? Is it going to be really curvy? What are some of those factors that you're going to include as well? These containers I have over here, yogurt containers and trowel, were just for collecting the dirt. So if you have a little shovel, you can use that, or yogurt containers make good scoops. So that's what those were for. The other thing I have out here is a ruler, because depending on what variable I choose to change in my experiment, I might want to do some measuring. And one of the things I could do would be to, to measure how maybe the width of my stream changed as the erosion occurred, or the depth of it. Maybe I'd be wanting to measure the amount of material that moved, and so maybe with that you want a little scale, or you just want some different containers. See what you fill with that. Point being, you guys, be creative and have fun with this. Okay, great. Now you have your streamscape set up and you're ready to run your first experiment. Before you actually do that, pause for just a minute. Maybe you have a data sheet that your teacher provided for you, and there's something there that you can fill out, some questions you can answer. And if not, maybe you can just write some down on a piece of paper yourself. Really important part of science work and engineering work is recording what's happening. We think we're going to remember it, but then in fact we end up forgetting some of the details. If you don't have a place to write it down, at least pause to think about this question, friends. When I pour water down the stream table, what do I think is going to happen? So, have that reflection time. Once you have a prediction, go ahead and run your experiment. That's the super fun part. After you've done that, check out what your results are. Did material move from one end of the stream table to the other? Did the shape or width of your stream bed itself change? What happened? So go ahead and record your results is what you want to do. Once you've done all that, here's the really fun part. You get to change one of the variables. Now that's the hard thing. You have to choose just one to start with. You can run this experiment as many times as you want and change them, but you can only do one at a time, right? Because if I decide to change the slope and I also change the volume of water, then I don't know which one of those caused the change in my environment. So choose one variable. Scientists call it a controlled experiment. So are you going to change your slope? Are you going to change your rate by having a small flow, if that's what you did last time, and make it a bigger one? Are you going to change your volume? And if last time you had one bottle of water go down, are you going to have two go down this time? Or are you going to have a half go down? Make a significant change. Maybe you want to change the materials. Maybe you had a lot of dirt and soil, and maybe you want to add more rocks. So choose one of those variables, make your change, repeat everything the same.
set up the stream table or the model of the streamscape, pause, make a prediction, run your experiment, notice what happened, and record your results. And when you've done all of that, friends, a couple of questions I'd have for you is, based on your experiments, what do you think is the most influential factor, or factors, if there's more than one, in the erosion of streams? And I'll leave you with one last question. Based on your work, what is another question that you have about streams and about erosion? There you go. I hope you have a great time with this, and I look forward to maybe hearing some of your experiences or your questions. You can send them to your teacher, and they'll send them on to me. And enjoy. See you later, friends. If you have enjoyed this video, please visit our website to learn more about what we do and consider making a donation.